it would appear that Bielsa came and went. Maybe he hasn't gone yet. Maybe he's still around the place. But we know that he flew into London. We know that he's had talks with Farhad Moshiri about the vacant manager's job at Everton. But it's our understanding that Bielsa, it was a good chat, but he wasn't ready to commit at this stage. So now it's Dyche. It's Dyche. Now, you were impressed, were you not, by Sean when he was in here with you and I recently?
Very much so. When I saw Carlo Torre getting a boot from Wigan, I assumed Moshiri was making a move for him. But Sean Dyche, I think we've advocated for, and obviously he came in and saw us before the turn of the year. I think there's a lot about Sean Dyche that gets misrepresented. You know, he doesn't misrepresent himself or his lack of, his belief in himself, because he is very confident and believes that he is capable of doing the job and any job that's put in front of him. So I think it's a sensible move. I think it's a sensible move. I hope that they've sorted out the contract in terms of make it a proper contract for Sean. But I think it gives Everton an opportunity. It's a difficult job, but he's a grown-up and he understands his way around. He's got enough experience to be able to manage the shortcomings of the squad that they've got there at the same time as put these players into perspective. He's got a couple of players there that he knows. Dwight McNeil, about time he turned up, and I'm sure that he'll get James Tarkowski performing at a better level.
That's right.
So I think it's a sensible, half-decent appointment.
Simon gives Dyche the thumbs up. Should he be appointed at Everton? Do you?
Well, I think the what's at stake here, obviously, is Premier League status for Everton. Just going back to his previous point there about, you don't play like Man City when you're the Burnley manager. I think that's what cost him the job in the end, because he wasn't able to take the next step, which was to pass the ball and play some football, as Vincent Kompany has shown that this group of players is more than capable of doing. I felt at the end, it wasn't a good ending. And I think that's what's lingering in the minds of owners and chairmen of football clubs. But if we go back to the beginning of his tenure, how he was able to gain promotion, how he was able, with the real constraints financially, I think we should look at those positives. Then, yes, throw him into Everton and let's see how he gets on. But I don't think it'll be for the purist. I think it will be about putting balls into channels. He's a percentage manager. And I think in the end, at Burnley, everyone got frustrated with it. And it wasn't a great watch. And in the end, they couldn't make two passes. If I'm being absolutely blunt, I was shocked at the quality of their play at the end. But over the piece, he did an amazing job at Burnley. And let's hope he can do the same at Everton.
But are you not doing, by putting him in a box, as you've effectively done?
You've asked me for an honest opinion.
You're doing exactly
you've asked me for an honest
he's
opinion.
accusing certain aspects of the media.
Well, because of the way they played, because it's about, I think you have to evolve. I think as a manager in the Premier League...
And you don't think he has?
Well, no, I think that he made all the various necessary steps, but I think the next step, now maybe he'll tell us that was down to the budget. Maybe he didn't have the financial clout that he thought he needed and he deserved.
So what, is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down to him?
I think it's work in progress. Let's see how he does. I think he's a man with a point to prove. And I don't know if there's many other options around. I think Bielsa with Murder Ball and all the rest of it and all the ideas and the craziness would have been an interesting one. But Sean Dyche, for me, makes a good alternative. But he's got to go and prove it.
Yeah. I think it's a much simpler, more logical appointment.
I think
Simon,
so too.
Than Bielsa would have been.
I don't agree with Martin. I watched Burnley play Palace last year in a very good game and a very competitive game where there was a lot of football playing. I think what Sean did towards the end of his time is he started to mix up the message about having some players that were a little bit more ball players, a little bit more footballers than some of the workman-like players he was able to get before. We got in players like Maxwell Cornet, who were good players, but they weren't actually advancing Burnley's cause so much. So I think he got himself in between two stools. I actually think that Sean is quite a progressive manager, and I think there is an element of we can all live in this utopian world where you can evolve a team and play at a certain standard. In the end, it catches up with you. Caught up Swansea. Swansea went into the Premier League, played lovely football, and got relegated, and now they're stuck in the Championship. You've got to cut your cloth accordingly. So I think Sean Dyche is a sensible appointment. I think it's a brave move for both of them. It's a slightly desperate move from Everton more than the brave one, because they're in and amongst it now. But I think Sean is exactly... I think the interview you heard from him, what you heard from him, Sean is no shrinking violet.
Exactly.
And I would imagine it isn't the easiest job, despite the fact I like him, it isn't the easiest job to manage him as an owner of a football club or CEO, because he's got very definite views. And despite the fact he appears to understand other people's point of view, what I took away from the meeting that I had with him when he was in here, I thought, you're a leader. And that would make you very challenging at times for those that you work for, but it would probably make you quite inspiring for your players. And if you talk to players that have played for him, most of them know where they stood with Sean Dyche. And I think players like that. They know where they stand. They know what's expected of them. So I expect him to arrest this nosedive. I do. I expect him to...
What, and stay in the Premier League?
Yeah, I do. I think that this is an appointment that will challenge the other three worst sides in the division.
Right.
And that's what we're looking at, three worst sides.
Is it part as well? Of course, the immediate thing is that they don't want to get relegated. They want to stay up. But then if they've appointed someone who, if they do go down, has good knowledge of actually promoting and getting the team back up. So it's a little bit twofold in this instance. Whereas up to now, it's been, what are we on now? 7 or 8 managers in 8 years at Everton? It's been astonishing, the turnover of managers.
Yeah. I just think, Martin, it's a more logical appointment. I really do. And like Simon, I was always impressed by Sean Dyche, no matter what. But when he was in here that day, sat down and launched into it, I thought, geez, yeah, you could do a job for somebody. And now the somebody's Everton.
He left you under no illusion. You can see people that can say things. We can all sit in studios and we can all talk about things that we haven't got to do. And every now and again you meet someone that you listen to and you think, actually, I think you can do what you say you can. I think you're comfortable in your own skin. You know your own space and place in the world. And I think Dyche will go in there and he'll straighten up a few people. He'll put a few people's noses out of joint. And he'll get it going the right way.
And Martin, you're talking about the way that Burnley are playing under Vincent Kompany. That's in the Championship.
Yeah.
Can they play that way in the Premier League?
Yeah, they can, yeah. And he'll do that. And he'll play
and
he'll stick to that philosophy because that's what he's built on, isn't he? Pep Guardiola, disciple again. They play in a certain way. It doesn't change, Jim. It doesn't change at all. So I expect that to be the case when eventually Burnley get promoted.
And it's looking very likely that they will. So it's also looking very likely today that Dyche will be appointed at Everton.
Jim,
more thing to say.
I was just thinking when he gets in there, he needs to find a way to make them successful. And I think the most successful they've been under Ancelotti, certainly when they were getting Calvert-Lewin into the 6-yard box, tap-ins, great balls into the box. So at the moment, it doesn't look like they can score a goal to save their lives. So the manager has to turn that around and get the whole thing functioning. There's decent players in the group. You know, he's got McNeil and Tarkowski of potentially facing back-to-back relegations. Nobody wants that on their CV. There's a lot there. There's a lot of proud Evertonians as well that he's got to try to deal with to calm it all down. He needs to get results quickly.
They've got to stop conceding goals, soft goals, easy goals. And I think that's where he'll start, like anyone does.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not going to win a game, don't lose it.
I wonder what Dyche thought of the first half at the London Stadium when they lost these two last weekend, Simon, with Jared Bowen on their backs. So Bielsa, we understand, has come and gone. It was a good chat, we understand, but he wasn't ready to commit at this stage. Hence Dyche is on the scene, and hence Dyche, it's our understanding, is expected to be named Everton manager today. If that happens, Evertonians, are you happy? 03717 223344 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.